Hello and welcome, Essex County College family. We hope you and your families are doing well. This is the Virtual Cafe, episode number 50. Today, we are celebrating the veterans of Essex. As you know, tomorrow, November 11th, is Veterans Day in our country. We celebrate all the brave men and women who've defended our country and have sworn to protect our freedoms and liberty for hundreds of years. We all love the freedoms that we have in this country, but it does come at a price, and an insurmountable amount of gratitude and debt is owed to all of our veterans who have protected this great country. This is a topic in which we can put aside our political differences for the day, and we can all appreciate the unbelievable hard work that our men and women veterans have done for the great United States of America over the last couple hundred years. Without them, we wouldn't be able to celebrate pretty much anything. So we'd like to take today to talk to everybody to see what kind of impact veterans have had in their circles, their families, their lives, their microcosms of the earth, especially Essex County College and Essex County. We have a bunch of our students with us today. We also have our Director of Student Life and Activities, Mr. Jamil Graham. Mr. Graham, how are you today?
Doing well today, Joe. How about yourself? All the students, how you all doing?
Doing well. We appreciate you joining us. We'll actually start with you, Mr. Graham. Mr. Graham, are you a veteran, or do you have any veterans close to you or in your family?
I am not a veteran myself. My grandfather is a veteran. I heard you, talking about, how special veterans are to us, and that's just the way I view it. I like to respect and actually revere all of our veterans and everything that they've gone through. To preserve our freedoms and the life that we actually enjoy now, and the sacrifices that they've all made, um and so it does hold a very special place in my heart, not just on Veterans Day, just in general. When you see veterans, when you see soldiers, it's just an immense amount of respect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we do have a lot of freedoms in this country, and a lot of other countries don't get to experience those same freedoms that we do. And we have our veterans to thank for that, to protect us from anybody who would see it differently for our country. So we'd like to go around and ask anybody who's with us today if they would like to share any stories about a veteran in their family that they love or they cherish, maybe a fallen hero of your family that's no longer with us that you would like to make a tribute to. The floor is open to you.
I'm not a veteran myself. I plan to take that course when I get out of college or go along the lines of military police. I do have a few family members who are veterans. My great uncle served in Vietnam. Um, the information is a little bit scarce, but we've received photos and such of him in his garrison cap and uniform. We don't exactly know where he was in Nam, but the one thing that my family usually tells me is that when they got letters back from him, he was always extremely close to his faith. He said that there are things that he saw there that honestly, it makes sense why soldiers find faith in the heat of battle and the heat of chaos in many things. And on my mom's side, that was my father's side. On my my mom's side, um, one of my family members, he was a in the Navy, served in Vietnam and the Gulf War. He did two stints in the Gulf War and received some distinctions in the Vietnam War. He joined, I believe, at 18 years old. He just wanted to see the world. And at one point, he saved a lot of people's lives in a commendation for the Bronze Star on a riverboat gun ship, I believe. And he passed away years ago, but he's still very close to my heart when I think about like serving or joining the armed forces or going along those lines with law enforcement. And in my high school, there are 4 people who joined the Marines, 5 who were uh, given the letter to go to West Point. They'll soon be out in 2024. 2 of them that are in the Air Force, one of them that is in the Navy. I keep in contact with all of them, even when they can't with me. I usually just tell them to be safe. And I usually just have a soft spot when it comes to like just seeing that. I mean, our own Dean Keith Kirkland. I just want to just shout him out for a second. When I found that I was talking to a retired serviceman when I entered the Men and Women of Excellence, I was like astonished because those are the type of people I associate myself with, and I just want to hear their stories and just thank them for their service. And I mentioned to him that before I left the high school, West Orange High School, I was selected to go to Boys State, an American Legion Boys State. And with that distinction, I met veterans, both past and present, special operations members to the smallest of lieutenants, privates, and such who were able to get out with their lives. But the one thing they maintained was, next to serving their country, there's a lot of people who that should have been there. One of them said that looking at a few of his friends that he was talking to, he said that they were part of the same unit. He said, there were 40 of us. Now there's 3 of us, and there should be more. And I told him that what I say, the speeches I do after that week and in school, I can't comfort them as much as I'd want to. I said if I had any ounce of power in my being, I would. That's the one. Those are the people I'd bring back because they deserve to be back.
Your great great uncle is an inspiration to you, and you mentioned before that you would like to get involved in the service when you leave when you're done with college, correct?
Correct. When I transfer to MSU, that's where I plan to go, Montclair State. Um, and with respect to my family, I want to continue on the educational route, of course, but due to a lot of affiliations I've had back in high school and as well as the college itself, a lot of people have asked me if I want to choose that route when I get out of college completely, seeing on how I would have both degrees and just in case after doing time in the service or with law enforcement, I have something to fall back on. It's like I was like, yes, completely. Because, and this is my last thing for everyone that's here. The nation is very much divided, yes, and I'm not going to get into politics at all, but those people sign up to help this nation. A lot of them beforehand, it wasn't a choice. A lot of them said, if you're doing this, you're going to jail. But many of them look at what's going on over there. People who can't defend themselves, those who are weak, those who are scared and terrorized. And it's like if if no one's going to do it, I might as well do it. Who's going to do it? And the ones who you know decide to go with the first wave, or those who immediately sign up, it's not like, oh, he doesn't know what he's getting into. Yeah, he does. He or she does, and they're going full in, and they show that they want to protect the innocent. You know.
Yeah, Vincent, we want to thank you for sharing that with us, man. It's amazing that you have people in your family that care about our country, and it's wonderful to see that they've inspired their next of kin, that's you, to also value the preservation of our liberty, democracy, and freedom that we have here in the United States. Uh,
Yeah.
Howard, did you have anything you wanted to share with us today, sir?
Yeah, I'm a veteran. I served from 78 to 86. Even though I'm classified as a Vietnam era veteran, I never was boots on the ground. But I belong to a veteran support group where, we get together and we help veterans, to try to move forward in their lives. Because a lot of Vietnam era veteran was the only vet that came back home that wasn't treated with a welcome. No other veteran was treated like the Vietnam era veteran. So a lot of them have special problems that they go to. I know one guy in my group to this day, and over in Vietnam, his call sign, for incoming rounds was bingo. And to this day, he can't even go to a bingo hall because when he hear the word bingo, it flashes him right back to that fighting hole he was in Vietnam. So, we work with a lot of different veterans with a lot of different issues, try to, help them with housing because, a lot of veterans, they feel, particularly Vietnam era veterans, but veterans in general. You know, a lot of them feel they not a part of it, if you understand what I'm saying. You know, and we have a homeless veteran who prefer to live on the streets. You know, the VA has a hospital is a place where, you know, you see a lot of veterans just hanging outside, you know, just talking to other veterans, because it's that camaraderie that we feel for one another. You know, I often feel better around veterans than I do regular civilians. You know, because we had that, and no matter what you did, whether you was boots on the ground, whether you was back home in some kind of logistic thing, we all supported one another regardless. You know, and I'm just grateful that you know, Uncle Sam has allowed me to participate at Essex County, because they pay for everything for me. You know, they pay for my schooling, pay for this laptop I'm on, you know, whatever I need. That's why I say I'm grateful that I had the chance to serve. And I'm grateful that, as far as I'm concerned, I know a lot of veterans don't feel this way, but I think that for me, Uncle Sam has been looking out for me, you know, and I'm just grateful that I had the opportunity to serve.
Sir, we thank you very much for serving. Seriously, thank you for protecting our country. I want to remind you all to please help out our veterans whenever you can. And that does mean financially. And if you can't do it financially, whenever you see anything related to getting our veterans or our veterans assistance foundations and hospitals more funding on any type of voting ticket or ballot, you always want to vote yes to that stuff. Obviously, you read everything before you vote. But whenever you see anything coming up that's going to secure more funding for our wounded veterans, for our current veterans, for our former veterans, and for the families of our deceased veterans, you definitely want to help out with that. Without these men and women, without these folks, we have nothing. So, Howard, we thank you so much for serving, sir.
Thank you. And you know, this Veterans Day is going to be a strange one for me, because this is the first time in a long time. Because usually on Veterans Day, it's a group of us that gets together and we start at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, go to all the places to get something to eat. And it's a day we hang out and enjoy ourselves. And due to this virus, we ain't gonna be able to do that this year. So it's gonna be a funny feeling, you know, not being around the fellas. It's always when we get together, we try to see who, because every year we lose somebody, you know. And so it's gonna be kind of a sad feeling, you know, that I'm not gonna be able to hang around with my group this year.
Yeah, certainly. This year is kind of a catastrophe, and yeah, it really stinks that the vets won't be able to get together. I feel it, man. Sorry to hear that. Sarah, do you have anything that you want to share for Veterans Day?
Yeah, I'm not a veteran or don't have a family member that's a veteran, but while hearing you guys' stories is just very touching to me, because this is how I bet a lot of veterans feel this way of the war and how they protect the country. And I think it's a celebratory holiday that everyone who maybe they may not be be in a war, but just honor it, because then people just want to make assumptions or just try and like make it believe like, oh, they serve our country and all we could say is thank you for the service, but then there's so much more to that. You need to just do some more and just help them, because you never know how much they went through, how much hard work. And sometimes back in those days, like women are fighting war and they had witnessed a lot more than just having PTSD, mental problems, and other type of factors. Like I read a story once when I was in, I think 7th grade or in high school, about a girl who was disguised as a man who was named Franklin Edmonds. I think, yeah, at Franklin Edmonds, and she, I'm just gonna say he was in war and he was fighting for the country, and he was a former librarian, like a live bookseller, and he was called to war and then fought the war and won it with honors. And then when he was shot, I think in the chest, he everybody knew that he was a woman in disguise named Emma Emmons, who was disguised as one because she wanted to prove to anyone that just because she's a woman, that doesn't mean she could fight. Doesn't mean she could fight for our country and fight what's right. And I feel that was a good honor that she did that because she came from a family with abuse, and she escaped from an arranged marriage that her father put her through, and so she escaped from that by disguising as a man. And to me, I feel like that's the biggest honor, biggest sacrifice that she's made, knowing that she stepped out of her circle and her and abusive family, that she could put that with effort to serve the people of her country and fight for what's right for women, men, and people with mental illness. It's just touching.
Thanks for sharing that, Sarah. Yeah, it's a great story because, yeah, a long time ago we only let men in our military, in our armed forces, and what a shame because I know a lot of the women that are enlisted in our armed forces today could probably take me and Mr. Graham at the same time and knock us both out. So we thank all of our men and women that have served for our country.
There was a West Pointer at the high school that I knew. We were really good friends, a great percussionist. And we found out that the night, I believe, after prom was ending, his brother, who was a West Pointer at the academy, was unfortunately killed in a training accident. He was set to graduate 2020. And we were dancing and everything, and as things were dying down, I kind of looked over. He looked like he was talking to someone, but he had to sit down. And I saw a few of his friends kind of come around him, but he seemed like still upbeat, still optimistic. And it wasn't until I saw my Instagram so many times it was popping up, and the next day I found out. I called him, I messaged him, of course, no avail, but just, giving my condolences. The school had a moment of silence, and it felt like we lost family, which it did, because how hard it was is when I found out his story, from breaking records in wrestling, being on the football team, being a musician, being a part of the first ROTC, Air Force ROTC unit in the high school to be created ever, and to be selected as the first black student in the high school to go to West Point. And it hit all home because his brother, as academically immensely promising, as well as a musician, same thing like him, he was offered a letter to go to West Point, and they completely understood if he did not want to go, but he did. He's now a sophomore, just like me in college, but in their, I think, version of plebe. He's still continuing it on. He's not doing wrestling though, which is I understand an understandable thing because his brother did wrestling. He was also a wrestling kind of kid, but just like his brother, he even went to nationals and won. And now seeing when I went back to the high school, I looked at that chart and said his brother's name and then in him. And I always maintained to him, though we didn't really talk as much or hang out like after school, that he's always with you. When you get your class ring and you're stationed wherever, you're going to be doing something that he only dreamed of doing as well. And he was so close. And every moment you take, every life you save, it's going to be with him guiding you. His family is still taking it hard, I could tell, because when they went to the football game it was, I believe, the first of its season, they want to give their condolences as well as a portrait. They were all heading back to the car, and I went up to him to give my condolences one final time before I left. And he asked me if I could take something to the car with him. I did. I handled it very carefully. And when I saw what it was his son's uniform for football. His number was being retired, and I was the last hand to give it to him. And I met his family, I met his daughter, I've met everybody, and he is a retired Secret Service agent. And he told me that, since I'm doing criminal justice, all the aspirations I want to do, he told me that you got a lot of, talent. He gave me his number. He's like, I want you to keep in contact with me so I can help you on this journey. I know you got other mentors, but I want to be a part of it too. And I could see in that emotion the service and the pride he has. And, I not only couldn't deny, I took and I told him I definitely would keep him in contact, check up on him. And like every time a holiday comes around, I always send this tiny message, nothing too dramatic, because I know it's still raw and unexpected, but it's the feeling of I don't know. It's just knowing what his son wants to do. He wanted to be an infantry officer, and knowing when West Pointers leave, they become second lieutenants. They're able to command. They're officers. But being an infantry officer is even more dangerous because you're going to be in the heat of the chaos. And from his dad, what he described him as is charging into the sounds of chaos. He always was out to help anybody in need, and that's an inspiration to me, inspiration hugely to his brother, and I always strive to just keep charging, keep powering through, and keep persisting, because it's like this tomorrow's day also shows the strength of a lot of veterans of what they put. And I'm a military historian. I've seen stories upon battles of guys who were just surrounded. It was the last time they're probably going to see their families, and they kept going. Could have been for a king, could have been for an ideal, but they just kept going. And me non politically saying it, it's honorable in many ways. In many ways, it's complicated to others. But at the end of the day, it's just like keep going, keep finish the mission, finish the mission. And it's like for me, I correlate that with my work and academics here in the college because I'm like, I'm done with an essay. I'm tired. However, if I can just pull a little bit more strength, I can get more done. Prove to myself I can go beyond greater limits. So
Our servicemen and women must never be taken for granted because that job is not a job that is very popular. And not a lot of folks want to leave their families. Not a lot of folks want to make that sacrifice to be courageous and lend their hand when our country needs it, when we have wars to be fought, when we don't have wars to be fought. So we thank all of our veterans from Essex County and from all over the country for protecting our great college, for protecting our great country.
I want to thank all the students who came in to share their experiences, their thoughts regarding Veterans Day, what it means to them. We appreciate you for just coming out. Very important programming. And we wish you the best. We just hope to be able to do more programs just like this with you all about topics that you all care about and things that matter to you.
We want to thank all of our students for tuning in today to Virtual Cafe for Veterans Day. We want to thank our real life actual veteran, Mr. Howard Woodard, for joining us. Sir, thank you for your service again. We appreciate you joining us.
thank you, sir.
Thank you. I just want
Absolutely.
to say to the young man who thinks about going into the service, one of the reasons I left and went into the Marine Corps is because I was getting involved in the gang life, back in my hood. And by going to the Marine Corps was the best decision I ever made because it taught me character. It taught me how to be a real man, how to stand up for myself and others, So I just want to applaud you on that, thinking about a military career,
Thank you, sir. And I mean, for me, it's a lot of the branches, of course, as instructors, they usually like throw, you're the best. You definitely got the talent. And the times that I was able to be under their tutelage during the summer before I came to this institution, a lot of them also believed like I have a strong sense when it comes to law enforcement as well. And some of them expressed like, hey, if you also decide to go in law enforcement, you should just go federal because a lot of these guys, for example, I know one unit, a retired FBI agent that I met in an internship. He said, one of my units, we work directly with the 75th Ranger Unit and some of the Marine Corps special operations units, and we help them when it comes to going overseas and helping countries form their own law enforcement unit or helping apprehend people who are just constantly terrorizing one place and they need to be extradited to the United States. I'm like, that sounds amazing. Because for me, it's like dipping my hand in both bowls, helping overseas with people that can't help themselves while also stabilizing and helping, people here in the nation. And to me, either way, I just want to just help out. And this is the singular thing I've always been asked. Well, next to, I'm 5'1", a lot of them believe, when you get into training, just good luck. And I'm like, hey, if it means carrying a fridge, sure. I mean, I might struggle for a bit, but that doesn't mean I'm going to just weakling out. A lot of them ask the risk. Some of them say that, there's a guaranteed chance you go over there, you go into a compound, things can happen. I'm like, look, I was raised in a religious household. I'm a Catholic. I make my peace with God every day, every morning, every night. I'm called when my God calls me. But until then, I will make the most of it when helping people. And this isn't any poetic thing, this is any heroic thing. I'm just quoting it right now. This is just common sense. Because there are people out there, great careers, great lives, and they're in hard spots with their country and hard spots with their nation, and they deserve a chance. I mean, everybody does.
Look forward to all the great adventures and wonderful things that you're going to do as you get older. Make sure you always keep in touch with us at Essex, man.
Of course.
All right. All right, y'all. So we want to thank you for tuning into Virtual Cafe. We hope that you and your families are doing well during this time. Well, we implore you to please recognize and celebrate Veterans Day. Let the vets in your life know you appreciate them, and let the vets of our entire country know that you don't take them for granted and that you appreciate the service they put in to keep us all safe. Until next time, stay safe,